I begin today by acknowledging the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, traditional custodians of the land on which this podcast is recorded today. Also pay respects to the elders past and present, and extend that respect to any other Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander people who may be listening today. This is Melanated in Melbourne, a podcast designed to give an insightful look into the Australian lifestyle from the lens of two Black American besties.
Hello there.
Hello.
Hi, and hello, audience. This is...
What is it?
Oh, I don't know why I paused like that. This is Melanated in Melbourne.
I thought you were about to sing Ariana Grande, honestly.
Stop.
This is the part when
I say I don't wanna, I'm stronger than I've been before. This is the part when I steal your man. Ooh. Too soon?
I don't know. Like, I know that she's not melanated and she's not in Australia, but the fact Ariana Grande stole SpongeBob is still, I'm still shooketh.
Listen, I mean, facts are facts. I mean, more shouts to Ponytail because she really lives that, I want it, I got it.
No, she literally.
She lives it.
I see it. I like
She's
it.
like,
I want it. I
got it. I want it. I got him. I want it.
Can we be sued for that? Like, can
we be sued?
For ad-libs?
Don't sue us, Ponytail. We just playing.
Ariana, I've been friends with you since friends. We know
friends. Yes, we know her.
Victorious. I think we started Victorious.
Right? Oh, okay.
It's been since day one. So we go way back. If you want to see somebody, sue Nicole.
Do not. Please don't.
Sue Nicole.
Please do not.
Or I guess sue no one, ideally.
Ariana, I'll give you my man. If that means you don't sue me.
I'm going to tell. You know she prefers to work for it.
She's like, it's not fun if I can't just steal. You know what? Let me mind my business. Let's mind our business.
Let's leave her alone.
I'm sorry. Before the aeronators start blowing our shit up.
Do we have any of those?
They're going to drop ponytail emojis all up in our Instagram.
Stop.
And I don't want
I don't think they will because they'd have to follow us first to do that.
They don't want the smoke. But anywho, welcome to Melanated in Melbourne.
Welcome to Melanated in Melbourne.
I'm your host, Nicole.
I'm also hosting occasionally, Ri'chard.
Occasionally?
Yeah, am I not occasionally hosting?
Okay. Like, this is you being hosting everyone, bitch. Like, I thought you were saying it like, not the part-time.
I'm being fired.
Oh my God, stop it. Incorrect.
Oh, actually, did you want to do a culture shock?
Oh, did I want to do a culture shock today? Oh, okay. What is something that shocked me culturally?
Oh, actually, I have one.
Oh, please.
So one of our test listeners, because I have a test listener in America.
Okay.
A Latino who knows me well enough, but also.
Arriba. I'm sorry.
I'm tired of you already. And another test listener in Australia, white. So it's like, it's not made for them. So we're just kind of getting.
I'm sorry.
I'm telling James. Okay. James and Nicole call you mayonnaise. So
I didn't call him mayonnaise, but I thought he should have his own sound too.
When you hear this, Nicole calls you mayonnaise.
I didn't call you mayonnaise.
Anyway, so the American test listener was like, oh, because we were talking about we're talking about culture shock, and we're talking about the alcohol prices last time, and he was just like, oh, yeah, they better be free pouring, and I'm like, oh, I have really bad news for you, because I realized we didn't actually discuss that part of alcohol, so we'll probably go into it in far more depth, but I think one of the things for me that was a culture shock as far as drinking culture goes is the shot itself is smaller here.
Listen, it's stingy.
They mad stingy 30 mil, which is maybe a 3/4 of a shot in America,
for
and
real.
Also they don't free pour. So if you want to go to a little bar, get like $1, double, whatever, and they end up pouring half the bottle in there, you got to go somewhere else because responsible service of alcohol is a real thing. So they're measuring everything. They're not free pouring. They're not counting because they like you.
Totally.
They're not trying to get any tips out of you. So they're like, this is your thing, and that'll be $13. So that would be my culture shock personally.
Yeah, no, it's really like that for our listeners at home. They even put little lines on the glasses so they know how much they're pouring, like a little glass of champagne or a glass of wine. They ain't pouring it to the top. They're pouring it to that little dash on the side.
They will make sure they get. I've actually seen it in a bar. They have the liquor bottles attached to machines, so like they press the button once, and it squirts out 30 million exactly of vodka, tequila, whatever, and it's like, there's your drink. You can't even flirt your way to extra drinks.
Sure can't.
Like, I'm gonna look extra cute, and I'm like, you can try. Like at best, you can probably get someone who likes you enough to pour a double and charge you for juice or something.
Pretty much.
You got to finesse that one.
You got to be blessed and highly favored in order to get something like that. Or show whole. I don't know. That's the range.
I mean, realistically, it could, because if you're sleeping with a bartender, the chances of you getting free things outside of an STI are pretty high.
Pretty much. But yeah, that's certainly a culture shock for me as well. Yeah, I couldn't really believe it. Okay, I guess this kind of goes hand in hand with the cost of alcohol, sort of, because this is probably more of the behavior of Aussies. Like I said, I've met Aussies abroad, and I kind of skated around this on the last episode because I didn't want to be.
Come on, Michelle Kwan.
I know. First of all, I'm a Christy Yamaguchi doll, so.
No Nancy Kerrigan?
Shout out to the Yamahoochies. No.
Lead pipe.
Yeah, no Nancy Kerrigans. Why me? Why me? No. Just because I feel like when I meet Aussies around the world, they're always down for a good time, and it's awesome. Like, they're party people, and I really dig that. And then when you come here, that spirit is certainly here, but it's on a different level.
Are you trying to say they go wild?
Listen, I'm just trying to speak facts right now. And I'm speaking my truth. Mm-hmm. I'm speaking my truth. These people get turned. Yes. And it doesn't even matter what day of the week it is. Because usually, okay, granted, I get it. I'm painting with a broad brush right now, so this doesn't apply to everyone. However, some of y'all be turned on a Monday.
Literally yesterday.
Stumbling out the bar. And I'm like, on a Monday? On a Monday, girl?
You know, sometimes that Monday was hard. Maybe maybe it was a 3-day weekend.
Listen, hey, I ain't judging. I am observing.
Not even a little bit judgment? Not even like...
No, because I try my best not to judge because everybody's got their own things going on, their own stories. But I feel like the drinking culture here is just like any day of the week, you can get it. Whereas I felt in New York, New Jersey, it was probably more reserved for Thursday through Sunday kind of thing. And that Thursday was really only in college. Yep. Thursday.
Thursday was very tentative.
Thursday. And then, of course, Friday, Saturday, you're doing it. And then Sunday's probably either brunch or if it's football season, then you're going out drinking that day as well. However, people here, it could be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and they are getting blitzed. And the level of drunkenness is also, it's not, oh, I've had a couple of glasses. It is like wasted.
No, I would fully have to agree. It's actually funny that you mentioned that. Our culture shocks, these were unplanned. We didn't discuss this beforehand. Yeah. But the culture shock of me mentioning the alcohol size and price, and then you mentioning drinking on Monday. I had a date yesterday, and we had a little dinner and things, but on the way back, I walked past this pub, and there were these two women, maybe middle-aged, they were laughing. It looked like they were having a good time. But one of these girls, she was holding her heel in the air. And
wait a minute.
Yep. So and she's like, and the heel fell, and then the other one fell over laughing. It was in her hand and fell in the street, and they just died laughing.
They fell in the street.
And I kid you not, it was only like 10:30.
Oh, girl.
Because I was going home after dinner, for keeping it cute, because tomorrow was work.
10:30 on a Monday.
They were lit, and I'm like, damn.
Might I ask the demographic? Might I ask, like, age range?
Ooh, like it was a bit of a distance, but I would probably say late 30s, early 40s.
Yeah, because we're not, like I said, I think it's just the culture here. They're going to drink, they're going to have a good time, and like, that makes a lot of sense. I absolutely believe you. It just feels like the parameters are, they just get loose. They get loose early and often.
Was it Lucy LaDuca?
Lucy?
Yeah.
Who?
Oh, she's a drag queen.
Oh.
She did all right last season, but one of her songs went viral because it's so camp and just really bad. I want to let loose or let's get loose or let loose. It's some nonsense.
Something's loose.
So she was extra loose. But she also lost, so I guess it doesn't really matter, does it? Yeah.
Hopefully she doesn't listen to the podcast.
I hope she does.
All right, you know what?
Because didn't you say we needed a beef with someone?
No, wait a minute. Hold the fuck up.
Let's go, Lucy.
I know.
Somebody
first of all, you're not going to have me beefing with the LGBTQ community. I'm not going to get caught up here.
Let me just.
LGBTQ?
Can you use it in a sentence?
My favorite people are in the LGBTQ community. That's the LGBTQ.
Oh, I know what.
Shout out to Duran Bernard for that little. Ever since he said that was a LGBTQ. I'm using that. Or let's get bubble tea.
I don't like bubble tea. Personally.
Wow, homophobic.
Can I be? That's like saying I'm racist as well.
Well,
it is not possible.
You know what? That's
discriminatory. I can be prejudiced, but I cannot be racist because I don't gain anything from that system.
All right, fair enough. But that is a different episode because this episode
is about jobs.
It's about jobs.
Obviously, to be here, you need to make money in some capacity to be able to stay. And having been here for an undisclosed amount of years for Nicole.
No, go for it because
I actually don't know how many. Is it 4 for you or 5 for you?
Listen, my Facebook memories came up and ruined the vibe for me. And they're just like, hey, 5 years ago, you were counting down moving to Australia. So it's going to be 5 years for me next week.
Well, damn.
Wow.
It's 6 years for me. And obviously, we've had to do a lot of different jobs because where we are now is certainly not where we started. So I figured we would give the listeners a bit of a rundown of the ins and outs of getting jobs here, the minimum wage, and just some of the jobs that we personally had.
Totally.
Would you like to go first or shall I?
Oh, I'm happy to. Yeah, why don't you go?
Okay. So for me personally, I think the main takeaway that I got from my Australian experience for work is every conversation is networking.
Every convo is networking.
As you mentioned before, they always want to have a chat. You don't really know where these conversations will lead you.
Sure don't.
One of my first jobs that I got, well, actually I had 2 jobs, but one of the jobs of the most significance was being a door knocker in WA, so Western Australia.
So Jehovah's Witness?
No, I was raising money for cancer.
But now I feel bad.
It was literally, yeah, you should. People with eye cancer now lost that money because you just made fun of them.
Don't. Shout out to the
Fred Hollows Foundation.
Okay, shout out to the eyes.
Fred Hollows. I say this because Adriano, I convinced him to join the charity because I didn't make my quota that day.
Oh, no.
So the thing about door knocking, it's really unheard of back home in America, mostly because everyone has a gun, and I'm not trying to get shot in the face.
Oh, definitely.
So at the time that I was trying to stay in Perth, I got a job working an overnight desk, which is a whole nother story I'll tell a little bit later.
Oh, boy.
But my day job was to drive out with these people, and we basically were like, hey, we're with this organization and we want you to donate to our cause. We're the best ones. We give the most money actually to charity because obviously that money goes to paying people's salaries as well. And they're boasting about how much money they made. But the idea of just going up to someone's house and be like, hi, can you give me your money? Can you just take out your card?
Yeah.
I'm going to talk shit with you for 5-10 minutes and then get you to donate a monthly amount.
Oh, man.
But the thing about that was, as I mentioned previously, there's a lot of Australians who told me they had never met a Black American before. And in regional WA, that's where I heard it the most, and that's where I capitalized on it. So I put my American accent on extra hard. I was just like, what are you doing here? It's like, well, I was just so fascinated with Australia, and I just really wanted to immerse myself in the culture. So I was like, why not come to WA, the best state in Australia?
Oh, come on, Sel.
And the way in which they ate that shit up. All the time. I was terrified to be a door knocker and do all these extra things. But in reality, after I learned how to do this job, I could do anything. One of my favorite moments was I was just talking to this lady. She ended up inviting me in and making me a sandwich and then agreeing to donate $50 a month.
Come on, sandwich.
And
$50 a month.
Yeah, all of them were monthly donation. In America, I would not have walked into anyone's house because
for real.
I'm going to go missing.
Correct.
I'm going missing.
Exactly.
Hey, little boy, you want to come into my house and get a sandwich? No, thank you. I like being alive.
For real. Okay, I got to ask the important question then.
Yeah, go on.
How was the sandwich?
The sandwich was amazing.
Damn, okay.
She was in a mansion.
Ooh, one of them rich sandwiches.
Even if I was in America and I was invited to someone's house in a mansion, I probably would still go in. Realistically,
really?
That's my gingerbread house. No, the witch's house.
Yeah,
that's my witch's house. I'm like, you got money.
The house made of candy.
You got money. Okay.
Yeah,
I could be a houseboy.
Wait a minute. Hold up. Hold the damn phone.
I said what I said.
Okay, you know what? I'm just gonna mind my business.
Yeah.
But still, $50 a month. That's a pretty good contribution.
No. And that's the thing. So you have so much disposable income. And one of the things I want to deliver everyone was some little bit of facts of minimum wage in Australia.
Please.
I mentioned briefly that it was really high, but I was like, let me just get some actual facts. And you can fact check me if you like internet, because go for it. We're on the same Google internet as everyone else.
Google.
But as of June, Australia's minimum wage is $23.23.
Work, bitch.
When you convert that to, actually, let me check my converter. I believe it was $15.50 USD.
Okay.
And additionally, in multiple articles that I found, Australia has the highest minimum wage in the world.
Wow.
It goes back and forth between them and Luxembourg.
You gotta applause. You gotta have an applause for highest minimum wage in the world. I'm sorry.
But what if you just guessed?
No. I know it's the yellow one. I know it's the yellow one.
Well,
I know the green is the womp womp.
Yeah, we don't have to do that. we don't have to touch that button. So the fact that the minimum wage is $23.23, that is the minimum. Most jobs will pay you more based on experience, based more on your age, based on the role itself. So they have the ability to just donate to a complete stranger and make them a sandwich and just be like, whatever, here. Because $50 a month, if you're getting paid $23 an hour, in 2 hours, you've already paid for that in a month. Like, obviously, that's before tax, but call it 3 hours. So it's just like they just spend more, they do more, and they're more capable of doing these things. So that conversation, I actually ended up getting that job through a friend that I met on Tinder Social. Did you ever do Tinder Social?
I think it may have been before.
It was very much a short-lived thing,
time.
but it was the most chaotic thing in the world.
Oh my gosh.
So anyone who is too young or in a relationship or whatever for Tinder Social, it was around 2016, 2017, and they had this feature on Tinder where you can group up with your friends. Like, you and I can swipe together, and you may end up with a group of all guys, a group of guys and girls, gays, lesbians, bisexual, non-binary, whoever, and it's just chaos. So you and I are swiping. And two of our friends like Kristen and Mike are swiping, and then we match as a group of 4, and we're just in a group chat on Tinder.
Oh my gosh!
And it was absolutely wild. So I was with my friend Naz. We matched with this couple who lived in WA, and you had to like establish what this group was for. I'm like, this is my best friend. I'm gay.
Yeah,
like, we're not trying.
Specific.
We're not trying to be swingers, but like,
gotta be specific.
Because I changed my location. I got Tinder Plus at the time because I was about to move here. I'm like, well, I'm bouncing through the cities. Let's see what happens.
Totally.
And the amount of groups were just absolute chaos. But this one is still one of my best friends today. He was in the group chat. He's like, oh, you're new here. I'm trying to make friends. I'm having a house party if you want to come over. And I'm like, honestly, why not? I'm already in the country. Let's do it. So we caught up, we became really good friends, and he's actually the one who got me the job as a door knocker in the first place.
Oh, wow.
So it was just like every single little situation like that, and very similar to that when I moved to Melbourne, because Perth, I love my girlies, but I had to go. I just had to run as fast as I could. But when I got here, I was just on Grindr, which if I have to explain what Grindr is, you're going to have to Google that as well. Yeah. I was on Grindr, and I was just talking to this guy, and it wasn't like a romantic or flirty thing. It was just, he just was really cool to talk to. He's like, hey, you're new here. Do you want to come hang out at the bar? So I'm like, sure. I said a lot of yes. I just said yes to a lot of things while I was here, and that's my recommendation for anyone else. If you get invited to things, no one's really trying to kill you, and they're not really going to like experiment on you or some crazy things, because my mind did go there, because in America, people are wild. I don't know what's in the water, but every other person may mean you harm, and they may seem like the most well-adjusted person. I have not really encountered that as much here. Yeah. So if you're comfortable, I would just say yes to a lot more things if you were to come here. But I said yes, went to this bar, met some of his friends, and I just passively mentioned I was looking for work. And this guy was like, oh, do you like kids? I'm like, yeah, I like kids. He's like, do you like Lego? And I'm like, I haven't played in forever, but yeah, sure. So then he's like, cool. Well, my job's hiring, and he put me on as a reference as if he knew me super well. And then I got the job.
That's so sweet.
And people were just a lot more willing to help complete strangers here.
That's so sweet.
And I absolutely love that. But that's me giving 2 job stories in a row.
That's all right. I don't want to like that. Yeah. No, I love that. No, because what kind of work did you... I know you touched on this last episode, but what kind of work did you do for Lego? At
Legoland, I was a guest experience officer.
Oh, yes. Oh, my God. That is such like... You're like a fairy god father.
Yeah, and basically I sat there and taught little kids how to, not to like make anything in particular, but encourage them when their thing falls over and just sit there and, oh, that's a lovely plant. And you just kind of hope that that's what they're building. And you kind of look around for context clues, or you just ask them, oh, what are you building? I'm building the skyscraper. It's just a pile of bricks, but for them it is. And maybe they'll come off to be an architect someday. So that was my job ongoingly in that space. And I very much loved it. So absolutely just say yes.
That's awesome. I love that adventurous attitude. So did you have any famous people?
We did. Like, back when Lego Masters was first starting, some of them came in. A handful of, like, celebrities popped in, because it is the only official Legoland in the Southern Hemisphere, or it was in 2017, so that may have changed. There's all these little pop-up places around the time of the Lego movie blowing up, and all the variations of the Lego movie 2, the Lego Batman movie, Ninjago. I know a lot about Lego still. It's not a cult, but I did my job very well.
It's giving cult, but it's a cute cult. That's a fun cult.
Do they give you little goodie bags instead of making you drink the Kool-Aid, or?
Pretty much. Brick by brick. I mean, it sounds fun, though.
No, it was good. That was one of my favorite earlier jobs. But what about you? What was your first role when you got to Australia?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so when I was On the way over here, well, I touched on this in the very first episode. I was working in fashion in New York, which was really intense. I was trying to climb the corporate ladder, which felt damn near impossible because it was just so hard, grueling, and very political. And so I was done. I don't even care what I do. I'm just ready for like a new start, and I don't care what that is. So when I moved over here, my partner's friends owned a cafe in Clifton Hill called The Dirty Apron, which was like a really lovely experience. And I was just like, you know what? I'll just be a waitress. I'll just do it. And I had no experience being a waitress, and I had to figure it out on the fly. And it was just a lot of chatting. Essentially, chat is 90% of the job. And if you get hold a conversation with people, then yeah, they ended up loving you. And then I come from a customer service background. I'm like, hey, how's it going? How's your food? What would you like? Telling the jokes and everything to the table. So it worked out pretty well for me. And they would even give me tips.
Oh, there
sometimes. And they don't tip here.
They don't tip here. We talked about it last time. They don't tip here. So if you're getting a tip, you're doing it right.
You're doing it right, which was a really lovely experience for me. And in this new environment, I was starting over. I begged them, oh, please let me do your Instagram. Let me do your Instagram. I don't know. I just kind of wanted to figure it out. And they were like, yeah, sure, you can totally do it. And then they let me take pictures of the food, and I feel there's like probably a grander way to describe this. But yeah, I just kind of started taking photos of their food, and then they came out with a new menu, and I took photos of that, and then just kind of started placing everything together for their marketing and everything, which was a challenging but enriching experience because it was a lot of fun. And I really love food photography now. And it was just something that it was just starting from the ground up and just having to learn and going online and going to YouTube and taking different online courses to try and learn as much as possible. But it felt awesome to be living in a place where I could figure things out and not have to worry about starving to death.
Yeah.
And not have to figure that out. So hand in hand, I was doing waitressing and started my food photography business because once they had that cafe, they opened a second cafe and wanted me to do the social media for that one as well, which was awesome. Then I ended up getting another account with that and then another one. And then I was like, oh, snap, she got her own business. What? Fuck around and make some money.
Wait, so you said you had a food photography business. Like,
Yep.
I am not above a shameless plug. What is this business?
Oh, well, it's still, like, I still attach everything under the Black Chick Abroad umbrella, which was, like, originally supposed to be a travel page. Then I made it, and then I realized how expensive it is to travel here, and I was like, you know what? Never mind.
Yeah.
But I still use that. If you go to my tagged photos on my Instagram, you can see some of my work. It's great, and I'm helping small businesses with their outreach, and I love food photography. First, it brings me more calm than photographing people. I think taking pictures of people can be nerve-wracking because
Food doesn't move.
Listen, food doesn't move, and the food ain't gonna talk back, and it'll stay there for a while. And I've figured out how to get in the food and be like, what's the most interesting way to turn this or pivot this? I feel like a part of the eating experience, you eat with your eyes first. You look at the dish, and that's the first experience. That's the first sense.
Yep.
Then smell, then taste comes along later, but you eat with your eyes first. And I feel I've gotten to a place where I'm able to. Yeah, just really capture the spirit of the plate.
The spirit of the plate? Okay.
The spirit of the plate? That doesn't sound right, but
The spirit of
the
the
essence.
spice.
The essence of the dish.
The essence of the
The
eatery.
true essence of the dish. So, yeah, it's been nice, and I've been able to continue that business to this day.
Amazing. Well, so on this topic of jobs, would you say that there was a particular role or shift or anything that was your craziest or wildest experience based on what you did, comparison to what you did back in the States?
Well, they call it hospo work here. They call it working in hospitality. I think hospo work in general is just some of the craziest work you can do, especially if you're in a place that gets really, really busy and it's pumping. And that Saturday morning, you get there, everybody's out, You know, everybody wants to come have their Saturday morning brunch. They're kicking off their weekend. And it also depends on how many people are working in your place. On Saturdays, you had a bit more backup, which was really nice. But on the Mondays, it would get really, really busy. And it was just the two of us. And there would be one person making coffees, and then me. I was the one running around from table to table. And we would get this group of senior citizen bikers. They would come and they would pay for their coffee with coins after they went on their group bike ride and stuff. And man, they were tough customers. They were tough customers. Like, I was definitely...
Did they throw coins when you got the order?
They didn't. Listen, don't do it.
Just waiting.
Harriet, you don't want no smoke. Nobody was throwing nothing at me. But they definitely were like, I need my flat white extra hot. And just, yeah, very intense.
What are they going to do, crush you with their thighs if they
listen, no, you just get chewed out by somebody you don't want to get chewed out by, because, you know, the Aussies here, they will let you know if you got them fucked up.
Then I think in that situation, you should also take the Aussie approach and be like, I don't give a shit.
Okay, that actually happened at one point. Not from me, because I was new to this job, but it was, once again, it was that Monday morning, it was that pump. All the tables were filled, and then people were lining up for their takeaway coffee orders. And I'm stressed. I'm under the pump. I'm running around from table to table, and I got this queue forming at the register for coffee orders. And while I'm doing everything, and I'm trying to wipe things down because somebody ends up spilling something, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, just trying to juggle a whole lot of pieces at the same time. And then a guy who was waiting in the queue while the manager was making coffees, he was like, nobody said hello to me yet. Nobody's even acknowledged my existence. This is ridiculous. And he probably was waiting for all of 5 minutes.
That's unacceptable.
5 minutes?
I would yell too.
5 minutes?
5 whole minutes.
5 whole minutes?
I could have had a coffee and shit myself.
I mean, but I was the only person working the floor, and the manager was damn sure like, oh, well, that's too bad. And he's like, well, I'm never coming here again. He's like, oh, yeah, see you, mate. They don't care. Yeah, they don't care. They'll just yell back.
Obviously, that was full sarcasm. I don't even drink coffee. I'm like, you can literally go somewhere else. Here's your water, you thirsty bitch.
We will get into it on our food episode, but the coffee here is taken very seriously.
Oh, absolutely.
It's taken very seriously. But it was funny seeing a manager of a shop not be like, oh, so sorry, we're just under the pump. We don't give a shit. You can go.
Yeah, there's so many other coffee shops. You can go somewhere else.
There's so many other coffee shops.
You came here for a reason. Shut up and wait.
And that was it. And that was pretty much it.
I love that. Like, I think for me, my two most unique jobs are kind of tied. One, only because it was a couple of day thing. I worked at a different event, and also hospitality. But because my first one is just a little 3-day stint, I'll start with that one. So I stayed in Perth for a boy, and that'll just be another story.
Okay.
And then, well, actually, no, when I was in Perth, it was very expensive to live there, so I ended up working 2 jobs. And at that certain point, I'm like, I don't want this for myself anymore. So I essentially was like, you know what, let me just go. I'm going back. When I came here, it was going to be for 1 year. So I had a flight to come here around June 2017, and I had a return flight in December to go to a wedding. And I'm like, you know what? Initially, I was just going to wait in Perth. I was like, oh, I'll just save up my money. And I realized I did not leave everything to sit and wait to go back home. So with $700 in my account, I just went to Melbourne. I was like, that's the city I liked. That's the city I wanted to be in. If I was going to get deported, I want to be closer to the border that I came in on. And
I want to be deported from a nice place.
Like, that flight would have been so long, they would have deported me to Melbourne and then sent me to LA anyway. So I'm like, let me just make it easier. And like, I'm going to try my best, but if I don't make it, I don't make it. And like, I tried. By that point, I would have had at least 6 months. I'll do it. So when I got to Melbourne, again, with $700 in my account, I was staying in a hostel that was $200 a week. So I had limited time. So pretty much any job that popped up, I would take. And this was before I got Legoland or anything else. So I was living in this hostel, and they would post things on job board, and they're like, Sexpo coming up. Come on in, and then we'll get you selling some of our equipment.
The
Sexpo, yes. And when they said equipment, I knew exactly what they meant by equipment. And they said $30 an hour, and I said, I'm on my way.
I know that's right.
Me and some of my friends went to this expo, and essentially they just had us selling dildos. I don't know if you ever tried to sell a dildo.
Salesman.
I don't know if you ever tried to sell a dildo.
I have not.
But it's easier to do if you've already been door knocking, because it's like, I don't know these kids with the
you be fearless.
Cancer. I'm just like, you know what? I'm just going to go do it. So obviously, I can't vouch for the quality of the dildos. I'm like, this one is extra warm. This setting is my favorite. But realistically...
Oh, that's so great.
How would they know if I was lying?
How would they know?
How would they know?
How would they know?
So I lied. because at the start of the shift, they were basically selling like, you need to get a certain amount of sales, and if you do well, we'll keep inviting you back. I'm broke, so I want to be invited back for the full 3-day weekend. So the first day, I'm like, this one's really popular with so. I basically sized up people to guess what would sell them on these dildos.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, this one like helps me relax because see, you got really tense shoulders. The setting number 3.
I just imagine you rubbing the vibrating dildo on your neck and shoulders. Oh, bitch, that's amazing.
And you didn't really take it out of the box either. You're just displaying this dildo. Oh, and this setting does this.
Oh my god.
So I was just pushing it, and
this dildo does your taxes.
And this dildo calls you unlike your children. So essentially, I got invited back the first day, did pretty well. Second day, I didn't do as well, so I only got to do the first 2 days. But the fact that I was just
still
pushing
really
through,
good.
I did it with some of my other friends from the hostel as well. Some of them made it further than I did, but half of them were just absolutely gone instantly. And I'm like, well, I sell dildos for a living.
Listen.
And like, absolutely, probably the weirdest job that I've had.
Yeah, but after that, you develop like a fearlessness. You're like, I can sell anything.
Literally between going to people's houses and making sandwiches and trying to get them to have pleasure, orgasms. I'm just like, I'm helping strangers all over the place.
Oh my God, you're so hospitable.
I know, and that's how I ended up in hospitality.
Oh, that's actually amazing.
You see what I did that little trend?
Way to love it.
But very much like my Legoland story, just every conversation being a networking opportunity without realizing it. I was out with some of my friends, some of which I'd met at Legoland, and I just mentioned that even though Legoland was great, I really did want to bartend. That was still my dream. My Coyote Ugly dream was I was so close to grasping it.
Coyote Ugly, what a film.
And I basically met this guy, and he worked at another bar on the street, and he's like, oh, hey, well, there's the Melbourne Bartender Exchange if you're looking for roles where you can pick up ace shift or pick up 1,000 shifts. And I was like, yeah, cool, let me just jump in there. And the job that I ended up working at, they had posted being like, hey, we're a cabaret bar, we do this, this, this. And
oh, cute.
When I had an interview, they're like, do you know how to make a Cosmo? And I'm like, I don't.
No! Oh, my God, you didn't even lie.
No, I didn't lie. And he's like, just guess. I'm like, there's vodka. Cranberry juice?
Good guess, bitch. Good guess.
And then he's like, yeah, actually. And then he like told me the ingredients. And he's like, can you talk to people? And I was like, sir, that's all that I know how to do.
Yes, I know this right. Come on, confidence.
So then I got the job. And essentially,
obviously.
It was me and 2 other people. And he's like, oh, I'm only going to keep one of you. But he was definitely just talking shit. Yeah. I think he needed all of us, but it was just that little pressure of trying to scare you to work harder. It didn't, like, it kind of worked because I was still in my American mentality. But by doing that, I was like dressing up, I mentioned before, to get my tips. Dressing up as all these different things. I did drag for the first time at this bar.
Oh my God, I love that. Did you have a drag name?
I did.
Oh, can we know?
Her name is Remix.
Remix! Yes. Oh my God, I get it. That's so cute.
And it's spelled the same way like my name. It's like
Remix.
I would love to have my drag auntie because she doesn't want to be called my drag mother.
Oh,
have my drag auntie on the show to talk with us at some point. D, if you're listening, keep an eye out. I'm trying to hit you up. But no, so like I ended up like just working really hard. I learned how to make coffees, and my least favorite thing was when one person said they wanted an espresso martini.
Oh, that was your least favorite thing to make?
Because if one person said it, it was never just one person.
Someone
in the bar would see it, their friend group would be like, oh my God, actually, espresso martini sounds so good.
Loves a martini.
Espresso mart. Espresso mart.
No, because once again, the coffee here is regarded
so highly.
So highly.
And then you throw it in alcohol, they're like, absolutely. So
oh my gosh.
One espresso martini ends up being 17, and you're just like...
oh, God. Oh, no. Listeners at home, he's shaking. He's shaking with such fervor right now.
And it was absolutely exhausting. So I would try to hide, because we had a set menu, so I'm trying to like hide that we had espresso martinis. But you see the coffee machine.
Oh, no.
You know damn well we have espresso martinis.
Every bar has a coffee machine here.
So people will come in for breakfast, I want a coffee. Or people will just drink coffee any time of the day.
They'll be like, can you make me a latte?
And I was like, I can. Actually, honestly, I am grateful for that because it taught me the whole making coffee in a fancy machine.
Barista.
As opposed to our cold drip or little, was it Nescafe, the little pods?
Like the pod coffee, like the Keurigs and stuff like that. Yeah.
That shit wouldn't fly here. Starbucks is a dying breed here because it just doesn't.
I only know one. I know one Starbucks, and it's here in the city. Yeah. And the only people I see frequenting it are tourists.
Exactly, because they need to get those little cups or whatever. But we won't go too far into that because, like, that's coffee and food
That's
culture.
right. We don't want to alienate any of our potential sponsors. So shout out to Starbucks.
Shout out to Starbucks. something Seattle, something diarrhea. Oh,
God.
So we've talked about the jobs that got us here, but if you don't mind sharing, where have you ended up now? Like, are you still in hospitality, or what's going on?
Well, I mean, things were going really well. I was having fun being a waitress. I was really empowered starting my own business and everything. Once the business side of things started to become a little bit more demanding, I was like, you know what? It's kind of hard to juggle the two. So I left waitressing. I hung up my apron in the rafters, retired it. It's up there, baby. It's up there with the legends, of other waitresses of yore. And to focus fully on my business. And I was really excited about it. I was actually going to pivot and start my own name for it and everything. And then, lo and behold, the pandemic hit. That put a lot of things in slowdown. So I was still conducting it, but businesses, they weren't pumping as much as they usually were. Budgets got tight. I understood that they needed to make decisions best for their business, but some of them did keep me on. I was grateful for that, but it definitely restricted the amount of work that I was able to do. I was only able to get content on a very, very limited basis. So it was hard to pull from the old content I had before when everything in social media is like, what do you have that's new? What's new? I want to see something that I haven't seen before. So it made things a lot tougher. Nevertheless, she persisted.
Hell yeah.
And so it was in 2020. For those of you who were keeping up with the news, Melbourne ended up being the most locked down city in the world.
Yeah, the most, if not one of the most.
One of the most. We were probably second place behind Wuhan. We were like right behind China. But we were one of the most locked down cities in the world. You couldn't go anywhere. You had to stay at home. And if they caught you outside, or if they caught you outside your zip code, that you were getting hit with a fine. And it was
That's
a pretty
couple
hefty.
$100s, yeah.
It was a hefty fine. And because of this, you're just biding your time, trying to do the work that you can. And then my friend's mom reached out to me, Maria, who I absolutely love and adore. And she was like, oh, Nicole, there's this place. They're looking for Americans who really love music. It's like a TV show. Would you like to audition for it? And I was like, what? A TV show? And it was gathering Americans that live in Australia. And I was like, well, surely this is some sort of trick. This doesn't make any kind of sense. But
the American hesitation. It's like, this is too good to be true, so it must be a trick. Who wants my liver? Just ask me.
Correct. The American mind, you think everything is a trick. You think people are trying to trick you. You think someone's trying to trap you because of the crazy shit that goes on in the country. So I was like, what do you mean y'all want Americans that live here in Australia? I don't know, but I'm still going to check it out. And yeah, and I ended up interviewing or auditioning for this TV show, but they never told me the name. And then I went through a few rounds of interviews, and we're in lockdown, so I ain't got nothing else to do. So I was happy to entertain it. And I got to one of the final stages, and they were like, all right, congratulations. We're going to have you come on the show. And I was like, great. Can I know the name of it? And they're like, we're still not telling you the name. We're still keeping things under wrap. And I was like, okay. Again, the little voice in the background being like, run, bitch.
I'm going to wake up in an ice bath.
Listen, kidney gone, bitch. Liver gone, bitch. Whatever. They would have taken anything. But I was like, okay, that's fine. You don't have to tell me the name of it. They were like, but we need to fly you up to Sydney for it. And again, we're in lockdown. I'm like, you know what? I'll take it. I'll take the trip. Leave, yep. It's a chance. It's a chance to go up to Sydney. It's a chance to see it. But this was during a point where Victoria, the state, Victoria has Melbourne, Sydney is in New South Wales, and New South Wales had restrictions on Victorians coming to visit. So they're like, yeah, we're going to fly you up to Sydney. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's great. Awesome. Get on the plane, about to get off the plane, and they're like, all right, get on the bus. I'm like, okay. And they're like, yeah, because you got to go into hotel quarantine. And I was like, oh, shit.
They treated us like we were so dirty.
Oh, shit.
It's like, we got fleas. that one kid came home or wing room. It's like, don't do it. Just go sit down.
Oh, man. And I thought it was going to be something that would be like, oh, no, it's okay. Like, it's fine. Because they drug tested us. Oh, drug tested us, not drug tested. Child. They COVID tested us before we even got on the plane. Like, they were... everything. You had to have so many things to be taken care of. So surely I'm not sick. So I thought they would change their minds, but like they're like, no, you got to go into hotel quarantine.
And
I'm like,
tested beforehand as well. Yeah, tested before.
Like literally. And then when we got to the hotel, I was like, oh, but we'll be able to go out for walks, get some sunlight. And they were just like, no, once this door closes, you are in here. And it's 2 weeks. And I was like, oh shit, this is bleak, but so be it. I still thought it was a really awesome opportunity. So I did 12 days in the clink. I did 12 days of hard time.
Not dramatic at all.
It was, listen, they had me locked up. Don't let me out.
Did Akon get canceled? I feel like he got canceled.
Did Akon get canceled?
We can look it up later. Continue.
Oh my God, I can't keep up with this.
I feel like he got canceled for something.
Oh my gosh.
It feels like underage women, but we're gonna.
Ew. Okay, never mind. He's gross. He's canceled. We were just using the song. Is there any other locked up songs? Jail songs? I don't know.
Locked Out of Heaven, Bruno Mars?
Locked Out. I feel like I will break both of our eardrums if I say, make me feel like. But anyways.
I appreciate the muting because I turned my mic up so I can hear it extra loud.
And I ended up having to do 12 days because on the 12th day, it was that Friday, they ended up changing the rules, or they lifted the requirement for Victorians to do 2 weeks of hotel quarantine in Sydney, which I was grateful for because those last 2 days, I don't know how I would have fared.
You start talking to the wall starts
Listen, I was like, hello, Mr. Toothbrush, it's nice to see you today. I was talking to everything in the room because, listen, options were limited. And during this time, the premise of the show, I knew I had to have a lot of music knowledge. So I was listening to a lot of songs and everything, but I still did not know what show it was. So once they let me out, I was like, I'm free. I'm running around Sydney. I'm just so happy to be outside and breathing. I was taking extra deep breaths, breathing all the oxygen in, feeling the sunlight on my skin. I was so happy about it. And then I was walking in a certain part of the city, and there was this huge billboard, and I was just like, that's funny. It's for a new game show, and it's for Name That Tune. And I was like, oh my God, that's a music game show. And the host was Jane Krakowski, love her, and legendary Randy Jackson.
Oh.
And I was like, oh my God, this is the show I'm going to be on. And I still had but because they did not tell me.
Didn't tell you
they did not tell me because they didn't, I don't know. They didn't want us to know. They didn't want us to tell our families. They didn't want us to tell our folks because essentially they recorded it in Sydney. They used like American contestants living here, but they recorded it in Australia. And
were they pretending they were in America?
They were pretending they were in America. We may have to we may have to bleep the name out. I don't know.
Well, you already said the name and the people on it, so.
Okay. Well, then again, I guess they know. Yeah, I guess they'll know.
It already happened.
It already happened. Okay, fine. Yeah, don't come for me, Fox. But
you wanted some beef.
I don't want no type of beef with Fox. Oh no.
Don't worry, they'll cancel it after 2 seasons.
Oh my gosh. So I legitimately didn't even realize that I was going to be on something that was that big. I thought it was like an Australian-based show. I did not think that it was going to be seen by people back home. And I go on the show. I have the beginning part was a really awesome experience. It was fantastic. I was so amped. It was like other people were really nervous, and I think there was a little mix of nerves, but I was kind of like, I seized it because I was like, man, this is fun. At least we're out, and at least it's for something that I love because I really love music. I ended up having a lot of fun on the show. Shout out to Jane Krakowski, who ends up being one of the most beautiful, amazing, incredible hosts. She just gives me this opportunity to perform karaoke on the show. And I could not even believe it because every single time they were like, oh, Nicole, what do you like to do for fun? Karaoke is always my answer. I love it. I feel like there's nothing better than going out there and feeling like a rock star for 3 minutes at a time.
Karaoke, I mean, as if you only do a song in 3 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. It's more like, and for my next song, I have a whole set list, bitch. And
everybody the extended remix.
Yeah, exactly. My acapella version, no, but yeah, I thought that they would just be asking that as like an interest and tell us about it, but she fully gave me the opportunity to go out there and do my thing. And you never upstage the host. You never upstage the host. But she was like, no, I want to give you this opportunity. And after it, and she was living. She loved it. She was like, Nicole, I like you because we're both from Jersey and you got moxie. And I dig that. And I have loved this woman for such a long time. I loved her even before 30 Rock, before Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, because she used to be on Ally McBeal. I may be aging myself with this reference, but so be it. Like, my love for her goes along. And she was so sweet. And spoiler alert, I might as well spoil it.
You might as well.
I end up getting caught up on a technicality, so I end up not winning.
Justice for Nicole, because I watched it, because like when that episode came out, we had just met just before that, and I was watching on TV, and I'm like, this is bullshit.
Oh man, I had never been so heartbroken.
Not only is it bullshit, it's rigmarole.
It is.
I was waiting. I was like, when am I going to use this?
It really was. It was some bullshit because I had the right answer. I said the right thing, but because I attached too many lyrics onto it, they were like, we can't give it to you. But I think more so than that, I had made a mistake in front of a lot of people, and it was really hard for me to deal with. But I didn't die. I cried a lot. I hate making mistakes. Making a mistake in front of a lot of people, it just felt so embarrassing. But we survive. And I was just like, okay, what can I take away from this experience? What is the silver lining, even though it didn't end up the way that I wanted it to end up? And I was just like, you know what? When I went out there and I was in my dress and I was in my heels, and when I danced and sung Proud Mary, and I felt those stage lights on my face, and I felt the warmth from the applause of the crowd, I was like, oh my God, I have been denying myself the thing I've always wanted to do, and that's performing, and that's acting. And even though it did not end up the way that I wanted it to be, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. So I came back down to Melbourne. I got an extras agent just for like background work, and I started doing it that way. My first gig was like a background extra in a Liam Neeson movie. It was so random. I think it's called Blacklight. I think
I remember the lead. I think it was a black actress lead in Blacklight.
Oh, was it really?
I'm pretty
Oh,
sure,
I didn't even realize. See, I'd just be doing the things. I'd just be saying yes.
I was like, let me get my money. I don't care.
Listen, I'd be saying yes to things, and I don't even realize what it is. And I never end up seeing the things, but I say yes to the work, and I say yes to the jobs, and I've developed such a great relationship with my background agents. And then I was like, you know what? No time to spare, no time to waste. I'm just going to go ahead and get a features agent as well. Got with them and then ended up getting some features work, and now I'm living my life as a working actor, which little Nicole would never, if I went back in time and said to my younger self, you're going to be an actor, she wouldn't have believed it.
I love that.
She wouldn't have believed it. And so I'm getting to live my childhood dreams and doing it in a way that feels safe and secure, and I don't have to worry about health insurance, and I don't have to worry about, because listen, the starving artist thing, more power to those people, but that was just never going to be my thing. I don't like to starve.
No. But you got to stay fed.
Listen, she thick. I didn't want to struggle in that sense, so I was so unbelievably grateful for my journey and my path to lead me to this place to do the thing that I've always dreamed of doing it, and doing it in a safe environment. So yeah, I'm just living my dream right now.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I love that. I knew a bunch of pieces of the story, but even this is new information for even me and a lot of the pieces, so that's just really cool.
Oh, good. I was like, Ri'chard's probably going to be bored because he probably heard me say this.
I think that's the one thing I really like about this podcast. Like, one, obviously, it's to tell our story, but there's some little aspects that even we didn't get. Cause I think it was your partner who mentioned one day, it's like, what does Ri'chard do? And
I'm like, I don't know.
And he's like, where does he, like, what does he study? He's like, I don't know.
I'm like, I couldn't tell you because I don't really talk about work with my friends. I don't know if maybe that is something I need to work on myself, because I'm more about, are we having fun in the moment?
Yeah.
I'm not a small talk person.
No, not at all.
I'm not a small talk. People like yell, they're like, oh, like, that's just part of being a grown up, small talk. I'm like, I'd rather step it up to medium talk.
But tell me about your childhood traumas instantly.
Just something else, something like that's not like something I would get on a form.
Yeah. No, I'm in the same boat. Mostly because what people do for work often it just pays the bills. Like I want to know what you're excited about. I want to know what makes you happy. What gets you out of bed? Because getting out of bed just to pay bills in Australia that's not really a thing. Like or at least not in Melbourne. Because in Sydney they're career driven. This. Some people will be career hospitality managers and workers, and those are necessary skills. Because if people weren't running those hospitality venues,
people weren't doing them,
I'm not going to do it.
No, because
and I love to go there. In America, being a bar manager would be like not that it's looked at on, but it kind of. I think
like,
it's not a career.
Yeah, correct. And I certainly don't agree with that sentiment, but it's definitely looked that way.
Yeah, and it feels so. Like when I got here and I was like, oh, I'm going to do hospitality, I'm going to do whatever. All of the jobs paid so well. Like working at McDonald's. McDonald's is not a job that should be frowned upon because bitches got to eat.
Listen, people got to do what they got to do in this economy. I ain't going to judge you.
But a McDonald's worker can live their fullest life. They can pay their rent. They can go on vacation.
As they should. They have a full-time job.
And that's one of the things, like that's a major difference here that I absolutely love. So for you, the pandemic shifted you to name that tune and acting as well.
Yeah.
For me, it went from being a night walker, it's like a vampire essentially, to a day walker. So like most people would know hospitality workers, you work late nights. Your weekends are gone. They don't exist anymore. But in Australia, some of the bars close at 2, 3 a.m. And then you have to clean. And then you have a knockoff drink because you can't just like have a big-ass shift and be like, damn, that was really hard. You went through the wars together.
You got to decompress. You got to have that buffer and decompress time for sure.
But then by the time you get out of that, it's 5 a.m. and you're walking out the door. I'm like, is that the sun? If it's the summer, like you're sizzling. So at a certain point, I was like, this has been an amazing job. I absolutely loved it. But I'm happy to not do this ever again.
Ooh, tell me about it. Hospital work is shout out to the people in hospital work. That is a tough job, and I cannot believe at home they don't want to pay these people $15 an hour. I cannot believe it. It is some of the hardest work you have to do. You're on your feet all the time. You have to be on all the time. You have to deal with different personalities, different problems. You have to think on your it's quick moving.
Yeah, and the customer is still always right. So whenever I was like...
the customer is always right, which ends up bringing in these insane entitlement and crazy personalities. So
1,000%. But like because I was tired of working late nights, I was like, you know what? My friend from earlier in the story who got me the job of door knocking, he had moved to Melbourne around the same time and was still in the recruitment agency. And he was like, hey, now that you have your permanent residency, because I was with my fiance at the time, now ex, I had a visa to have access to different jobs. Because in Australia, with the working holiday visa, there is a stipulation that you can only work 6 months in particular roles.
Oh, yeah.
And certain jobs don't want to even entertain you if you can only do 6 months. So a lot of the other jobs, the day jobs essentially, that I was looking at weren't interested in me unless I had a permanent residency visa, like that kind of thing. So when I had that opportunity, my friend's like, hey, I've got this job in government. Yeah. And I'm like, well, I've never worked in government per se, but I'm like, you know what? Sure, let's do it. Yeah. And by doing so, I ended up being in a role that was like so complicated and so complex, but it also was very easy to figure out because even the thing about working in a 9-to-5 in Australia versus working 9-to-5 in America was night and day.
Totally.
I've never heard more swearing from higher ups in my entire life.
It is very chill.
They'll be like, oh.
Casual.
And they're like, oh, we're so fucked. We got this, we got that, and shit and all these other things. And I'm just like, you're the director. Like, I'm clutching my pearls I didn't even have. And I'm just like, I don't think... and no one is reacting. They're like all laughing. They're like Fridays. Fridays don't really exist in some offices. Like, and even in certain places in government, you're like, oh, it's Friday. You'll be lucky if you get a response after 12 for things.
You'll
and it was
very lucky.
I think we've had enough work. People are just like, I don't really feel like it. They'll just be done.
They sure do.
And one of the things that I also just like absolutely loved was just the superannuation, which is not exclusive to 9-to-5 work. Everyone gets superannuation. And for those who, like our DLR American listeners who don't know about superannuation, Australia pays into your retirement. It is required. Yeah,
superannuation is your retirement fund.
So they are required to pay into your retirement funds. It's not like, I got to get a 401k, I have to pay. You can add more money into it if you like, but that's a part of every job. Like we'll pay 7 to 10 to 12% of your annual wage into your paycheck every day. Even as a backpacker, you get paid superannuation. So when you leave, if you decide not to stay, you can actually cash out your superannuation and get that. It'll be taxed 30, 40%, something ridiculous. But also, if you just have that money sitting there and you weren't going to use it anyway, that's a nice little paycheck.
It's just going to keep going up. Yeah, because I thought that I would have to sign up for superannuation, so I never did it. So I was doing all the extra jobs. I was working at like Neighbours, which is the long-running soap opera that they have here. And I was working for them a couple times a month. And they're like, what's your superannuation? And I'm like, oh, I don't have one of those. And even though I didn't know what it was, I was like, oh, I'll just figure it out later. They made me one.
Yeah, and they were still paying
without asking.
Yeah.
Because they were like, no, this is your money. We have to give you this money.
We will get in trouble if
we will get in trouble if we don't give you this money. And it's just like...
Absolutely the opposite of America. They're like, oh, you don't want this? Don't have to tell me twice. Just put it in your
Pretty
shirt.
much. They're like, oh, you're a poor? You can die then.
Yeah. And you don't want this free money? Okay.
Correct.
Shit,
For those listening at home, Ri'chard has dropped his phone down his shirt for dramatic effect, but I appreciate it.
You needed some visual aid, even though this is not a visual episode.
It's not a visual medium, but I still love it.
But I think between the super and this like the swearing in the office, also going back to your friendliness thing, I love my coworkers because some of them are listening. So
oh boy, shout out to the coworkers.
If I consider you my friend, that's totally fine. But I think the thing that shook me the most in the office is everyone is just so interested in just saying hello and oh, how's the day going? I'm like, I don't know you.
Yeah.
Like it was a couple weeks ago. I was in the office and I was just minding my own business, eating my lunch because work was really busy that day. I just wanted to have my food, and I was actually brainstorming for the podcast. I was doing something, and I was sitting in the lunchroom, and 4 people just came up and sat next to me. It's like, oh, hey, we're gonna come join you. There are so many tables in this room.
Yeah,
there were so many.
They can be very social.
And they were like, oh,
so social.
Are you busy? I'm like, oh, man, yeah, a little bit. It's like, oh, that's okay. Well, I won't be long. You know? Like, why did you even...
I'll just talk at you. You don't have to respond.
It's like, why did you ask me if I was busy if you were gonna sit and join me anyway? So I ate my food so fast, and then I went to go work on that in the bathroom.
No, stop! Not the bathroom.
I felt like Katie Haring, just having lunch in the bathroom. I was like, I don't have any friends. Actually, I don't want any friends. I just want to be left alone. I need to get this done.
I need to get this done, and I need to be able to concentrate. So
and it's like, I love your story about your engagement and going to Dandenong or whatever it is that you're from, but can you leave me alone?
Yeah.
But I am still grateful for the experience and the ability to be here with superannuation. And when you have appointments and things, if you have to go to the dentist, they're not like, oh, you need to bring me a note and show me that you're sick. You have to do all these extra things. They're like, oh, yeah, cool. We'll see you later. You'll make it up some other time. They are so trusting.
It's very common sense.
And I love it because, in school, we're like, I need to go to the bathroom. It's like, you need a hall pass.
Yeah, you got to ask permission for a lot of things where it's like, it feels like the attitude here is no, you got to go to the doctor, Yeah.
We don't want you to die. We want you to be working at your best. And the balance, the American hustle culture doesn't exist here because they're like, you're people first. And the fact that they're paying us like this and to also be people, you could never catch me getting another American job. I'm sorry. It needs to be some kind of a magic.
Yeah, and it's like a tall order. It would be a tall order and very unlikely, but it's like, yeah, it's just common sense. Yeah, people get sick. People have days where they're just like, they need mental health days. You know, you just need that time to step back and decompress, and they just allowed you to have that here. I remember a couple months ago, I was supposed to be working a background job, and then I ended up booking my second national TV commercial, and I was like supposed to be going to work the extras job, but I had like a wardrobe fitting that day, and I was like, oh my God, I'm double booked. What am I going to do? What am I going to say? And like I had to call my backgrounds agent. Like, I'm so sorry. I have to go for this wardrobe fitting for the Chemist Warehouse commercial. I can head over there afterwards if that's the case. And they're like, shout out to Michelle, my agent. He was just like, Nicole, he's like, featured work takes priority over everything. It does not matter. Do not show up. I get it. And it was that. And it was that. It was like, no, go do your wardrobe thing. Go do the thing that you need to do for the bigger job because we understand.
Yeah.
We understand. And I was just like, wow, never.
Especially not in that industry. I would not expect they'd be like, choose one, pick us.
Yeah, exactly. And no, they understood. They get it. And it's just like, and they're just so accommodating. I'm spoiled.
Yeah.
I'm spoiled. How can I go back?
Honestly, it's a hard win. Like, there's no counterpoint for the American working system. If you were to give someone, I guess, one other pointer for working here in any capacity, for our listeners who are of age or could do any visas or whatever to come here and fully give Australian work life a chance, what tip would you give them?
Oh, what tip? Oh, man.
I can also go first because I asked a question.
Please do.
I have a general idea of what I would say. For me, I think my one tip would be just try to relax a little bit more. Because one of the things I like to say, especially when describing working, I am America lazy, but Australia productive. And I'm still the same person in both of those places.
Yeah.
Like, I will always work smarter, not harder. But if I come here and do the exact same thing I did in America, I get promoted. I get all these other opportunities like, oh, you're so great at this, you're so fast. I'm like, really? Because I got distracted. I was on my phone half the time. I just bought 2 new shirts in the middle of this meeting. and also updated your presentation like you asked me to do, but I also was doing my own thing. And they're like, this is well done. This quality work is so great. And one of the things I didn't get into until this last couple of years, again, I mentioned earlier, I don't drink coffee. Yeah. But if I'm in the office and they say coffee break, bitch, I'm going. I'm going to get a mocha chocolata.
Yeah. Creole lady. She keeps coming back.
She does keep coming back. Is that 2 in a row?
That's... All right, that's enough.
But it's not going to cut into the coffee culture, but every other time, like, people get 2 or 3 coffees a day. So at the start of the day, if work starts at 9, people show up like 9:30 with the coffee.
Correct, because you got to get your coffee in the morning.
If you have a meeting at 10, it's like, I need a coffee.
Need a coffee to get through it.
Like, coffee break, we'll just go, and because everyone roughly does the same thing, that coffee break will take about an hour.
Sure enough.
Because you'll walk over there, have to wait in line, get yours, talk shit with your coworkers, and then go back and be like, it's almost lunchtime.
Totally.
So lean into, if someone offers some capacity to not do work, just go with them.
Just go for it.
If they're older than you, or if they're higher ranking than you, even if they're on the same level as you, they've been here long enough to be like, obviously we're not going to get fired by getting this coffee. Let's go get a coffee.
Yeah.
Get a coffee.
I love that.
Relax, get a coffee, call in sick, do the things, prioritize you.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. It's just like, don't work as hard.
Honestly, though, as someone who's now in a very comfortable position, don't work as hard. Like, don't work as hard. The work will always keep coming back.
It will be fine.
In America, like, I've got to do it. I've got to, because someone's on your neck trying to take your job. No one's trying to take your job here, girl.
Nobody. And they will fire you for any reason back home. And I probably said that before, but that was like the whole thing in New York where it's just like, oh, is this job affecting your mental health? Oh, is this job running you down? Oh, is this job not being very good for you? That's too bad, because there's a million other people who wish they had the opportunity to work in New York. Mm-hmm. And that was the attitude, so they felt like they could just treat you any kind of way. And it's just not like that here.
Not at all. And I mentioned briefly in the last episode that I was waiting in limbo about my job because there's unions and all these things we're taking care of. It still hasn't really been settled, but even today, like, on the way to this podcast, my manager was like, hey, this role popped up. I know we're all waiting this uncertainty. Like, I know your CV. Would you be interested in it here just in case? Just to, like, we would hate to lose you, but also sitting here waiting with the rest of us would suck. So, like, they genuinely care about people. Some industries more so than others, but I think at the baseline they care about the individual rather than just the company as compared to America. And I can't overstress how important it is to just come here and try. Just apply, work. If nothing else, the job, even if you do it for a year or so, just that bit of a break from America would be ace.
Absolutely. That was a great answer. I think mine is going to be kind of within the same vein of, you can just come here and people don't live to work. You don't live to work. You're here. You have to work in order to pay the bills, get by. And I think that if I had a tip for anybody, I would just say go for what your heart wants. Go for your deepest desires, because I think I don't even know if you can call it a regret, but if I had to call it a regret, it would just be like, damn, I wish I started doing this sooner. I wish I would have just started sooner, because this is exactly what my heart wants, but I felt like before, I can't do this because I have to worry about this, and I have to pay for this, and I have to do this. I really feel here in Australia, you're able to follow your heart's desire. If you need to keep your 9 to 5, go for it. But here, I feel like you're able to have that, and you can have your creative outlet as well. You have the energy to pursue that creative outlet as well, which is such a gift.
Oh, absolutely.
Which is such a gift. So I would absolutely capitalize on that. If I were you, is just like, do what speaks to your heart, do what speaks to your soul, and go for it right away, because tomorrow is not promised. We don't know how much time we have, and you don't want to get, if you're blessed enough to get later down the line, because that's also very real, you're just going to wish you would have started sooner, or you're going to wish you would have taken that chance. And it may not work out. That's okay, but at least you tried.
Absolutely,
at least you tried.
I think that's an incredibly powerful moment to end on. Sorry, everyone, for the bait and switch, because I do recall at the end of last episode, we're going to talk about dating, but I promise it's coming. I promise, literally,
sorry.
We're to flip.
We're going to talk about jobs.
Only because, to be fair, very much on Nicole's point, the reason we added this session in because I had the capacity to record an episode during the week because usually we don't really have that time. But as you said, choosing your creative outlet, having the energy for such things, I'm like, we can do this. We can squeeze a little episode in. So this is like a bonus little episode. It's coming before dating, but dating is still going to occur.
Dating is still on the horizon, so just keep holding on.
And we might have a guest or two to join us and just add to the chaos.
That is so true, because dating in Australia is different.
Oh, it is. Oh. The dating pool has pee in it. Like, I kid you not. I forgot. There was that video that went around with the lady. She's a comedian. I think she was on a reality TV show. She's like, I didn't think marriage was on the cards. It was like tumbleweeds and syringes and just like shiny little pieces of plastic. And I just couldn't, like, I felt that in my soul.
The trenches.
It very much is. We're in the wars.
The trenches for real,
Well and truly. But until then, we're going to leave you there. I'm Ri'chard.
And I'm Nicole.
And this has been Melanated in Melbourne.
All right, see you next time. Bye. This has been Melanated in Melbourne, a podcast that analyzes the Australian lifestyle from the lens of two Black American besties. Follow us at Melanated in Melbourne on Instagram and TikTok. If you have any comments or questions you'd like to ask us, then email us at melanatedinmelbourne@gmail.com. Thanks for listening.